Welcome, everyone, to this edition of High Bank Fury. I'm Roy Jakers. I'm the host of the podcast/Zoomcast. With me, I have Bob Francis, our NASCAR insider from GoFullThrottle.net, and also Tyler Head, also a NASCAR insider and the communications director of Echo Park Speedway. It's always great having you gentlemen on here. And the race at Bristol was awesome. We still have 7 races to go in the NASCAR playoffs, but we got to get right to it right now. First off, Joe Gibbs Racing, they have swept the first 3 races of the first round of the playoffs. And right now in our green room, we're going to kind of talk off this real quick. We have crew chief for Christopher Bell. We have Adam Stevens. And Adam, looking at the second round now, what does it say from inside the shop from the Joe Gibbs Racing perspective to see not only you guys sweep the first round, but with 3 of the 4 drivers, your drivers are all in it, with Ty Gibbs leading a race high 201 laps. Adam?
Yeah, in the 54 was so close to getting his first win tonight, but it looks good for us. Just specifically for the 20, the next round. We won Loudon a couple times and ran second at Kansas in the spring. Admittedly, not with our best stuff, and obviously our road course stuff's been strong, and we ran second at the Roval last year. So this round really shapes up well for us. It's a good opportunity for us to hopefully lead some laps and win some stages.
Well, I mean, everybody's got to be riding high at Joe Gibbs Racing right now. I mean, you get all your 3 playoff drivers to get a victory, and you have your 4th one who was knocking on the door, being able to point his way in or even find victory lane throughout the regular season. Didn't quite do that, but has showed out a little bit here in the opening round, and especially at Bristol. And you look out in front of them, like he said, they're going to New Hampshire, a place that they've historically run well. Kansas, an intermediate racetrack, really rewards the top dogs of the sport more often than not, and Joe Gibbs Racing is certainly one of those. And then you get to the Roval, and they've been pretty stout across the board on the road courses this year. So not a lot of opportunity for slack in them in these next 3 races for them to get their 3 contenders, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, and Christopher Bell, to move on further in this championship hunt, or even Ty Gibbs to get his first career victory.
Or their affiliate team 2311 with Tyler Reddick, who led 45 laps at New Hampshire last year. He finished 6th. So how much data, how much information transfer in the Toyota camp can the Joe Gibbs team and crew chiefs pass on to their Toyota teammates and affiliates in the other Toyota cars? So I think that sets itself up for Tyler Reddick, who really has struggled through the first round of the playoffs to potentially find his groove in his game here and move and really demonstrate something at New Hampshire, Roy.
And Tyler?
I was just going to bounce off of that and also highlight Bubba Wallace, who, had a very consistent opening round of these playoffs. And Kansas is a place that he's won before. So, right. I mean, you look across the 6 contending Toyotas right now, they've got a lot of opportunity still ahead of them. And some of their stiffest competition might be coming from, between themselves.
And we're going to bring Bubba Wallace's name up in just a few moments when we start talking.
Yeah, that's Oscar, my dog. This is his little plushie, but we sell him at the merch trailer. We got him back in stock. We sold a few more than we thought right off the bat, but supports my foundation for the animal welfare side of things. All the proceeds and profits go back to the foundation for the animal welfare program. So back in stock this weekend. So yeah, if you get a chance to head out to the merch trailer, we got them back for you.
We're up against a break, and then right now we have 4 NASCAR drivers. We're going to see if they agree with anything we've just said. We're going to be on the other side of this, and we're going to talk about spoilers in NASCAR, guys that could go ahead and upset the leaders and change the whole perspective of this race in the last 7. We'll be back in a moment.
Southern 500 by Bristol night race kind of falls right in that order, I feel like.
All right.
Oh, man, that's tough. I feel like there's really 5, personally. But if you had to narrow it down to 4, I mean, you got to have the Daytona 500 in there. Southern 500, I feel like, Coke 600. And then for me, growing up in Indiana, the Brickyard 400 is just a big deal to me. Other guys, it might not be as big, or I guess one of the majors, but then I would say the Bristol Night Race is the fifth one. If there is five, but yeah, for me, the Brickyard 400 would be in there for sure.
Some people have asked about whether or not this race is actually a major on the schedule. What for you would be 4 majors on the NASCAR schedule?
Daytona 500, Coke 600, Brickyard 400, and Southern 500 is my big four.
Do you consider this track a major if there were 4 majors in NASCAR, and what would be your 4 majors?
I would consider the Daytona 500, Brickyard 400, Southern 500. Fourth one's kind of just up for debate, but Bristol Night.
Oh man, that's tough. I feel like there's really 5 personally. But if you had to narrow it down to 4, you got to have the Daytona 500 in there. Southern 500, I feel like, Coke 600. And then for me, growing up in Indiana, the Brickyard 400 is just a big deal to me. Other guys, it might not be as big, or I guess one of the majors, but then I would say the Bristol Night Race is the fifth one. If there is 5, but yeah, for me, the Brickyard 400 would be in there for sure.
Yeah, so Southern 500 would be top of my list. I talked about it earlier. Darlington Raceway is it is a driver's track, and you're not going to fake your way around Darlington. It's so tough. The Southern 500 is such a long race. It's interesting. We have the Coke 600, which is 100 miles longer, but the way Darlington races, it's on par with the Coke 600 as far as length and distance and stuff like that. So I think the Southern 500 is probably the one that all of us want to win the most.
And do you have a third and a fourth? I mean, are you going to say Daytona and perhaps another race coming up?
Obviously the Daytona 500 is a big one, but it's just, you know how it is. It's Daytona, it's speedway racing. So I'm going to say Southern 500, let's go Coke 600, and then I'm going to throw in a Bristol race. I really want to win a Bristol race. Been fortunate enough to win there on the dirt, but not on the concrete yet. So I'm going to put that and then the championship event at Phoenix.
All right, thank you. I want to ask on Bob Francis, GoFullThrottle.net, Tyler Head from Echo Park Speedway. You heard Christopher Bell. It's all the usual suspects of Daytona, the Bristol Night Race, Darlington, and the only real discrepancy is whether Indianapolis makes the list or not. And that's his opinion. Do you guys have, would you replace any of the races he talked about? I have 4 drivers that are going to go, they're going to decide everything for us here in just a few minutes.
Well, I appreciate Christopher Bell's honesty on that, because, half the fan base sees it one way, half the fan base sees it the other way. You have the old school NASCAR fans who have always been told what the 4 majors, the crown jewels are. I personally want to make sure Bob's view is that the Bristol Night Race is absolutely one of those 4, just because of the overall impact to the community. When I go outside and cover other sports outside of NASCAR, or even at the dirt tracks, when they ask about NASCAR, everybody says the Bristol Night Race has got to be one of those crown jewels. So I don't know. I think that's debatable. It's great hearing the driver's perspective. From the journalism school, we could have our opinions, and that may be shaped by just competition and what's fun to write about. But that in the cockpit driver perspective, like Christopher just gave us, is always unique. And then the fans, you ask 10 fans, you will get 20 different answers, is my experience.
Tyler.
That's certainly true. When you talk about what makes a crown jewel, it's a mix of all those things. It's the history of the event, it's the prestige of the accomplishment of winning that event, it's the atmosphere of everything at the track, from the number of fans that have turned out to just all the pomp and circumstance that goes with it. So certainly you got a lot of the same answers, because some of these are very obvious. The Daytona 500 has to be one of them. The Coca-Cola 600, one of the the longest race on the calendar each year, and one of the most storied races in NASCAR, has to be one of them. And the Southern 500, just the same, a storied history, and its 500-mile race is definitely one of the more grueling ones as far as how long it takes to get from the green flag to the checkered flag. That fourth one's up for debate. I have a soft spot in my heart for the Brickyard 400 from days gone by when, it had all that pageantry and that electric atmosphere. But that's certainly up for debate. The night race has historically, and certainly to this day, brings an atmosphere unlike any other race that you go to. But just to be a bit biased, I think either the Auto Trader 400 or the Quaker State 400 available at Walmart at Echo Park Speedway, one of the most exciting places to see a race these days. I'll throw my hat in for that too.
Yeah. In matter of fact, I'm glad you said that, Tyler. I think in time that very well it could happen in time. One of the things I wish NASCAR would do is kind of like what golf does, in that they move their majors around. And I'm not saying, well, they're not going to move Daytona. They're not going to move Coca-Cola. What I'm saying is that if they had a U.S. Open style race, one where maybe 4 or 5 tracks could rotate that in there, where the event is the star of the show, the Masters, the U.S. Open, the PGA. I'm talking a whole other sport where the event is the major, and that they rotate it to their elite tracks. And there are other tracks that could gain traction, and like an Echo Park could jump in there. I think a little different about this after attending Indianapolis this year, and I mean no disrespect. It's a great, fantastic facility, but NASCAR needs to put more fans there, in my opinion, for that to be even considered a major. The place is all 70,000 was what I was told was there. I talked to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway communications director, kind of did your job over there, and he says, yeah, we're expecting 70, maybe 75 if we get a big, but the place looks empty. And when you get a place like Talladega, those are some of the most rabid, fervent fans in the entire NASCAR circuit. And in my opinion, all the tracks can change over time, but I think Talladega needs to have a race almost considered to be in there. And if they had a U.S. Open style race, I think Echo Park absolutely would be on the short list to be on a rotation for that. And that event would have it, and Echo Park would go up in stature just being related to that event. But that's just me.
Well, just to quickly reinforce what you said there, back in the days of the the Winston $1 Million Challenge or the No Bull 5, Talladega was often in the mix for that. But also, as far as rotating things, you'd have Las Vegas or Richmond or this, that, or the other. I think that there's ways, especially in this era of NASCAR, where you're seeing an in-season challenge in the middle of the year to add a little bit of added intrigue into the middle of the calendar. I think that there's opportunity to add that cherry on top to a certain event and put a little bit of a spotlight on it. It's just a matter of having that great idea and then having the buy-in from the fans and also the competitors to say, hey, this is meaningful. This is something that I'm extra motivated to win because it comes with this reward.
Yeah.
Toyota has 3 NASCAR Cup teams, 2311 owned by these two, but this guy actually races for his team. And they both share the track with a team owned by this guy. 3 teams, 4 legends, all going after 1 cup. Now you're up to speed. You in?
This is Roy J. Akers for the High Bank Fury podcast. We are found multiple times weekly where we talk to NASCAR drivers, cover stories, and those that shape the sport. This is not just another podcast. We get exclusive content, talk fantasy NASCAR racing, and spill the news before other media outlets drop their take. We are on all podcast channels, the YouTube channel, and can be found on skyviewsports.net. Check out High Bank Fury, the podcast, today. Well, you heard from Joey Logano, Carson Hocevar. We heard from the Watermelon Man, and we also heard from Chase Briscoe, who threw his hat in the ring for Indy. And I'm not tempering my opinion about Indy. If they had 200,000 fans in there, you hear a much different guy. And NASCAR used to have that. Can you imagine that place roaring with that many fans again? Wow, that would be absolutely amazing. But we have one final segment. We only have about 3 minutes to do it. And who do you have as spoilers coming up throughout the rest of the playoffs? And I consider anybody eliminated or never made the playoffs, all drivers that could be spoilers.
Well, I'm going to jump in and go real fast here, Roy, because this one just screams from not only the data, but from what I see emotionally happening on the track. My pick for the guy who's going to upset the playoffs and steal one from the playoff contenders and get a win is Chris Buescher. He was very competitive at Bristol the other night. But Big Tex is hungry. Big Tex also, I think it hurt a little bit that he was a contender to try to get into the round of 16 and make that playoff run and came up just a bit short. He wants to go ahead and plant that flag and get that win this year. And I look for Buescher to really be aggressive and express himself as we saw him at Bristol, contending up there and not afraid to put his car in any situation. He's going to do that. He's going to be an upset and grab a win here before the season's over.
Tyler.
I'll take the low-hanging fruit. There's two very good candidates for spoiler opportunities in these remaining races. Talladega is one, very much unpredictable. The Roval is another, somewhat unpredictable as far as how that race is going to unfold, but you got to figure that Shane Van Gisbergen, who just got eliminated, is going to be one of the people to beat, if not the person to beat at that race. The other consideration would be AJ Allmendinger, who's enjoyed more than his fair share of success at that track, but SVG's the hot hand on the road courses. I'll take that low-hanging fruit.
There you go. And my low-hanging fruit, I guess, to go on what you had, I did start at Bristol, and it had to be Chris Buescher's name has appeared on 3 or 4 races. I took a look at all the races on driveraverages.com. His name appears on 4 of them, so he's got to be there. He's a non-playoff driver. He drives well on every surface, everything from the super speedways to the short tracks to the Roval. Bubba Wallace is someone to take a look at in this race coming up at New Hampshire. In Kansas, I'd say Bowman, although he's still in the play. Or no, I'm sorry, he was eliminated. What am I talking about? Buescher, once again, his name comes on there. AJ Allmendinger at the Roval. And then moving right along at Talladega, Eric Jones has a great record at Talladega, believe it or not. And also Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who just loves him some super speedway. So even though the usual suspects are on top, they can always be upset. This is a game of speed, gentlemen. We have got to put a wrap on it. We've only got about a minute or so left. Bob Francis, how can we go ahead and read and watch you? Because you're also doing your own podcast out there, my friend.
That's right. You can catch us on the internet at gofulthrottle.net, on our app that you can download from both the Apple and from Google Play, depending upon your device. Get instant access to our AI predictive models. And we're out there in the podcast world with our show, Motorsports Nation. Love to have you join that, as well as here on High Bank Fury.
Tyler Head, how can we buy tickets and find out about all the you guys have what, 15 events a year there at that track? That's a lot.
Oh goodness. We have more than that, big or small. We've got, hundreds of events that happen over the course of the year across the property. So EchoParkSpeedway.com, the place to find out all the information for all those, including our 2 NASCAR weekends in 2026, starting with the Auto Trader 400, February 21st and 22nd.
And they're also track known, at least you used to be known as Real Racing, Real Fast. Is that still the motto there?
We've been going with, we got the best racing with the best view.
Well, I concur. Well, everybody, we're going to go ahead. We're going to tune it out for this one. Please catch us all. You've got how to get us, how to buy tickets, and we hope to see you in Atlanta at Echo Park Speedway in February. But right now, we have New Hampshire coming up. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Daddy, I'm sorry, but I beat your favorite driver, folks.
I gotta ask, like Marty did, who's that?
All of them.
First off, who do you love?
Ross Chastain, baby.
And who do you boo?
Kyle Busch.
Give us a boo.
Boo! It's Bristol, baby!
And who do you love?
Ryan Blaney.
And who do you boo?
Denny Hamlin.
And celebrates to a mix of boos and cheers. But
Bristol, baby.
Okay, first off, who do you love?
Kyle Busch.
Christopher Bell.
Okay, and who do you boo?
Blaney.
Kyle Larson.
Give us a boo.
Boo!
And what's the number one reason you're here?
Fast track racing.
Such a great time here. It's unbelievable. NASCAR fans are like wrestling fans. We love them, baby. It's unbelievable.
All right, here we go. Who do you love?
Byron.
Hosevar.
Oh, who do you boo?
Denny Hamlin.
Byron. Bristol, baby.
What's the number one reason you're here?
Fun.
Yeah, I like the nightlife, the night crowd.
I'll tell you what, brother. What you gonna do when NASCAR runs all over you?
Hey, you said Carson Holsabar. Who do you hope he runs off the road today?
Anybody in front of him.
You're a lap down. You got nothing to do. Why you run right into me? Second time. I don't give it to you. I don't. I really trash. I really get back in the state.
Daddy, I'm sorry, but I beat your favorite driver, folks.
I gotta ask, like Marty did, who's that?
All of them.
Bristol, baby!